This is the lineup that I want to see for 5 to 10 games, just to see what Grayson Allen looks like coming off the bench. He started every game that he's been in, just to see what Royce can do with the core four, because we saw him start against the Lakers, but obviously Beal wasn't a part of that. So I want to see whether his skill set translates the way that it did in that Lakers game.
Hank McCoy.
I could see a lineup that we'll talk about next in Book, Beal, Royce O'Neal, KD, and Nurk that could make a lot of sense to start here and give you some more firepower with that second unit by having Grayson out there instead of Royce being part of it.
I probably would opt for this more than anything else, because I do think Royce is versatile enough. Can obviously he can hit the outside three. He did it quite a bit the last game, but also, being able to move the offense through him. He's not the ball's not gonna stick. He's just gonna get it to the next guy. So I'd be cool with this. There's just no way, and everybody could just stop with this if you're saying this. There's just no way Bradley Beal's going to the bench.
No.
There's zero chance that's going to happen, and he shouldn't, because he's really, really good, regardless of what some of the haters out there think. Like, Beal is a legit player in this league. He's had some injury problems. So I like this lineup a lot. I do like the idea of Grayson coming off the bench, and then teaming up with either Beal or KD in that first 6 minutes in the second quarter. I like that a lot. So, yeah, I'm cool with this.
Yeah, obviously Beal wasn't a part of that. So I want to see whether his skill set translates the way that it did in that Lakers game, because he's not going to knock down 6 threes every night like he did in that game. But if he's able to hit threes at a 40% clip, which he's been doing since he came to Phoenix, if he's able to defend the primary matchup on the defensive end, and if he's able to move the ball the way that we've seen him do it and keep the offense humming, like, this is a group you have to explore, because some matchups in the playoffs, you're going to be undersized if you have Grayson Allen in that spot. So it doesn't necessarily mean that if you go to this lineup, you have to stick with it. It depends on matchup, but you want to have some continuity with those 5 guys in case in a playoff series you need to start Royce, depending on who you're playing.
Yeah, I like this lineup a lot. I think it's going to be matchup based. I think you're going to have series where Grayson is the guy you should start, and I think you're going to have series of matchups where Royce is the guy you should start. And I think I will say this. I'm a little hesitant to jump on this quite yet and say I want Grayson on the bench, because I don't know the dynamic of Brad Beal and how that changes guys like Royce in the flow of the offense. There's a lot of mouths to feed. When you got Kevin, Devin, and Brad out there, it organically changes some of the looks and some of the attempts. We talked about how with the big three, there were games that Grayson would have 6 shots. And so is Royce, if Royce is getting 5-6 shots like Grayson, are we really utilizing what he brings to the table? Defensively, probably so, but offensively, you kind of end up in the same spot.
Yeah, but if you're going to limit one of them, I'd much rather limit Royce's shots than Grayson's shots, because I feel like, we saw Royce have a great shooting day against the Lakers on Sunday, but I feel like if he's only getting 6 shots and he kind of fluctuates like he has at times shooting, you can get away with that. Where if Grayson's getting more shots, he's proven over a long period of time this season and throughout his career that he's a more consistent shooter. So I'd much rather, if this lineup meant Grayson got more opportunities, going to that.
I also think that you need to look at this from an effective standpoint. It's not about who's the better player, because Grayson to me is the better player. That's undeniable right now with the season he's been having. It's about how much more effective can these players be with what lineups and when they come off and come onto the court. And that's why I think that Grayson Allen would be better suited and far more effective being part of that second unit, because there's going to be more opportunities for him to be able to make plays and really shoot from the outside. And we've seen games where he only gets 4 shots. You know why? It's because the big three are playing and he doesn't get a lot of opportunities. Right. So moving him to the bench and having him come off and being that, that very valuable 6-man, there's nothing wrong with that. Also, like, I understand, like, people want, people place so much emphasis on starting.
Yeah.
It's not about starting. It's about finishing. Like, the guys that are on the court in the last 3 or 4 minutes of the game, those are the dudes that the coaches trust. Those are the guys that they want to roll with and the game is on the line with. And if Grayson's part of that, even better. So I don't, it's not about who's better, because Royce O'Neal versus Grayson Allen is not a conversation I'm even going to have, because Grayson Allen's been phenomenal. It's about who's going to be more effective and where. And I do think that Grayson Allen would be far more effective coming off the bench than he would be in the starting lineup with this group.
Yeah. I mean, we're going to see more lineups, but the irony is in the perfect world, I want both of them on the court. That's the lineup I like.
I think that Grayson could help with the ball handling too in that second unit, which we've seen at times. He's done some of that, but this to me is more like the lineup we thought they were going to start earlier in the year, where Grayson would be coming off the bench and you'd have a more defensive-minded guy
KBD or
in there.
Like
that, we thought
KBD,
Kogi, any of those guys didn't work out. I think Royce feels like that natural fit, and that's why I'm so intrigued by it. And maybe you try it and you don't like it, or you try it and understand it's matchup dependent. But I think inflexibility will be a killer for Frank if he refuses to look at other lineups when it comes to a potential playoff series too, because you may just be outmatched size-wise in a starting lineup where you need Royce out there. In particular, look at the Clippers. I think the Clippers are a group that you could struggle with having Grayson as your three.
Well, I look at the Nuggets.
Yeah.
You know, with Jokic and then Aaron Gordon being big dudes. You know, MPJ doesn't really play as tough as that. So putting KD on MPJ would be great. Have Royce try to battle up with Aaron Gordon from time to time. Not consistently, because Aaron Gordon's just a bigger dude. But, I think Royce could hold his own against him for sure.
Yeah, and that's my biggest thing is, like, even if you stick with Grayson, because like I said, that starting lineup you've run with for most of the season is really good together, you just need to experiment. Like, that's what Frank has been doing all season. He's tried a bunch of different lineups to see what works, to see what doesn't. It's part of the reason the Suns felt the need to trade for Royce O'Neal at the trade deadline, because they had tried all these different things, and a lot of the guys they shipped out weren't performing up to what they needed from them. So I do want to just see it. Even if you don't stick with it, it could be matchup based. That's what Frank Vogel said. He had a lot of things to say about these different lineups in the newsletter that I included there. But you just got to give it a shot and see, can Grayson Allen handle the 6-man role, or is he best utilized spacing the floor with the big three, that type of thing.